Okay, you look lovely, by the way.
Oh, gee, thank you. I
There
did have a call this morning that
you go.
was recorded, so I did put face on, so we're good. We're good.
Good. All right. So this conversation is kind of like, all right, so now what? So I'm a real estate agent. I'm selling some houses. I'm new in the area. I'm new in the market. I want to be able to do something. I think I should build a team. There are other people in my area that I have to compete with that are part of the same brand. So you ask, well, like, how do I do this? Okay. My
Yeah.
first question was, is this doable? Is this not doable? So yes, it's doable. Other people have done it. Okay. Is this measurable? Right now you got 0 people on your team, and how many in your total organization?
2. So again,
2.
that's also pretty new
You
as
got a
well.
nugget. You got a nugget started. Good. Like all you gotta do is you got a nugget. Like if we keep tapping that vein, you'll be like, there's more nuggets along that vein. That's how the gold people found gold back in the day, right? They just kept working their way down and working their way down, working their way down, working their way down. They're like, oh my gosh, there's another one and another one, and another one. But you just keep digging and you keep chasing the vein, and you end up with a bunch of gold, right? So that's all we're talking about doing here potentially for you. So the question of the day is, okay, it's like, how do you compete in that market, within that market? And I will say the first thing you got to do is get really specific on what your goals are. So when I'm asking people what they want, if your goals are vague, your accomplishments are going to be vague. Okay. So it's super, super important that you establish very, very clear and concise goals as to what you want and what are you trying to achieve. Okay. So first things first for you, I would say would be super simple. First question would be, okay, how much money do I want to make per year as a real estate agent selling houses? That's one.
I need to replace basically my goal for this year was to replace my corporate income. So I worked at Best Buy corporate prior.
Cool. Good.
I have my MBA. I do strategy and contracts and the whole thing.
MBA,
so that was my
absolutely nothing for real estate.
Nothing.
Clueless.
Exactly.
Yeah, I sat with a bunch of MBAs in Tampa, and the CFO of our company is like, Russ, I want you to sit with these MBAs and just talk to them. Let them. They're going to ask questions, and you just talk to them. I want you to tell them what you're thinking. Okay. And I'm like, are you sure you want me to do this? I had 5 MBAs and their professor, and they were looking for a company that they wanted to stick the MBAs on to help strategize and streamline the business.
Yeah.
By the end of the 3rd meeting, they were like, you guys are helpless. I don't even know how you guys make any money at all, ever. Like, I'm like, the real estate business is completely different than everything else. And once you know it, they're like, well, you just got to make people. I'm like, no, 1099, that's illegal. And they're like,
yeah,
come on, guys, really, I don't even have a college degree. I didn't even go to college. And I'm telling you guys, you can't do that. That's not the way to do it. They're like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, you got to inspire them like volunteers. Volunteers will show up. You got to inspire them, right? So a completely different world. Okay. First things first is goals, right? So first goal is going to be, you're going to make the most money the fastest selling houses, and you got to replace that income. So how many houses do you need to sell to replace that income?
In our market, about 12, 10 to 12, depending on.
Cool. All right. So let's just say 12, because I like that, because that's one per month.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to have an affirmation that I plug in with that. So I have affirmations for all of my goals. So I repeat over and over and over what I want to see, not what I currently see or currently have. How do you get to the future? You work on, it's like, I have 1 or more smooth closings every month. Like that, smooth closings. Okay,
right, exactly.
Smooth closings every month. Because if you have one that sucks, and then you have another one that sucks, and another one that sucks, you're like, my whole year sucked, right? Can you build a whole year of sucky?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen it 100 times. Like, that sucks, right? Like, I want to get like one smooth closing. Like, wow, I like that. Do that again, right? It's like, wow, he punched me in the face. It kind of felt nice. Do that again, right? So that's what I want you to start thinking. 1 per month. Okay. So where are you going to get those from?
All of my deals currently are sphere of influence. It's all,
and rightfully so, they should be. So if you want to build a sphere of influence business, so your goal is going to be sphere of influence business. Okay. And your sphere of influence business, if you work your sphere properly, you should be at around a 10% conversion on your sphere. So in order to have 12 sales in a year, you have 120 people in your sphere, should be able to net you 12 sales. Closed.
Okay, following, so I'm tracking you. Yep.
Now you got an MBA brain going, dang, that's a nice little recipe there, Russ. Okay, so I've got 120 people I add value to consistently over time. And if I do a really good job of that, I should convert it around 10%. I know then if I look at my business, say I've got 200 people in my sphere and I have a 5% conversion, which means I have 10 sales out of 200 people, that's great because you're close to 12, but that's still, the ratio sucks. So I've got 200 people, so I should deliver value better, more often, more consistently, make sure it's value for them, not what I think is value.
Yep.
And then get that number closer to 10. So if I've got 120 people, I should have 12 sales. If I've got 200 people, I should have 20 sales. So now I've got a way of actually measuring my business and be able to track forward progress. A couple different ways. Number one, in that, how many people do I currently have in my sphere? How many do I need to add on a monthly basis? And then secondly, how often do I deliver value? And when I deliver that value, does it return me back at close to 10%? If it doesn't, then I got to do a better job of adding value. Okay. All right. Okay. So I have a video that kind of shows some basics on this, and I can send that to you. It's on my YouTube channel. I did this last week with a couple people that were working with me, and I walked them through some of that stuff. Okay. Yeah. So that's your number one, right? So we're looking at somewhere in the range of $10,000 per check per house closing, right?
Yep.
So here's the equation. So you're talking about building your business and building your attraction setup. Okay. So here's the recipe. Okay. House sales, more house sales you need, right? Because you got to get those $10,000 checks. You need 12 of those. Okay. More house sales equals more money, equals, well, this equals plus cash equals plus people, right? So the more houses I sell, the more money I make. The more money I make selling houses, the more people I attract that help me sell more houses. So you kind of get this loop going. And now you have a system that is predictable and repeatable. The more houses I sell, the more things I do that help promote that, but that also generates cash and gets me more people to sell houses. The other thing you get too is you get this other thing as a byproduct of that, and it is a realtor on the other side of most of those transactions. So these are people over here, and if you deliver the same thing to them that you're doing to deliver these people to get more house sales, these people will be more likely to come to you. See, so how do I add value to all the realtors in my sphere also? And the ones that I add value to consistently, they're going to start saying at some point, hey, I think I like that lady. She's better than the others, right? So are there other people that are vying for these people? Absolutely. But most of them are vying for these people by adding value like you're doing for your sphere. These people are now in your sphere. Do you fleece them or you do things to add value to them? I'm going to do things that add value to them, right? So consistently, your mindset shift always needs to be build your sphere, grow your sphere, get checks on house sales. And in the process, get more people, and more people go into past clients, which are more likely to refer business, which gets you more of these. And then you get more of the real estate agents and you deliver all that same value to them too. So how many other people in your market do you think are adding value and delivering value to the realtors in their market?
A small percentage.
Or are they saying, all right, so for everybody watching this, I mean this with love. Are they EXPing all over them, right?
Exactly.
Or when you get really bad with it, you EX poop on them. Okay. So with that said, there's a bunch of people out there, well, let me do EXP explained. And well, that was brilliant when people had no idea what it was, but now people know what it is. Nobody's fallen for that crap anymore, or very few. Is it a brutal way to do things? Yeah. And you alienate more people in the process of doing that. It's like, we do a lunch and learn, you show up and we tell you all about EXP, our Lord and Savior, whether you like it or not. I'll tell you what, people don't like going to timeshare things because they're like, oh, it's free food at a great restaurant. Yeah. And then they put you in a headlock and beat the hell out of you through the whole thing. And the food is like, it's not worth it. Right. So we do not want to create an environment where we get people running from us and scared of us. And every time they see your name tag, like, oh, another one of those. Right. I want to be 100%. I want to be the guy who's like, every time I sit with that guy, the dude drops some freaking value in my melon. I love talking to this guy. I could care less what brand he's with. I show up unbranded almost everywhere I go. I
like that. I'm enjoying that because there's a couple of other calls that I'm in, and even in theory, they're how do I put that? They're higher up, and I do not like some of the things they're teaching. So I'm not, and like that's not going. It's not me, A, and B, like no.
So can you cold call your way to success? Yes. So keep in mind here. So my last year, I was working for another company as a vice president. My team recruited 1,692 people, 1,692 people with 5.3 per person productivity. So 1,692 people selling houses. It's like 9,000 transactions go to the bottom line of that company, right? My team did 18,000 calls a month on average. So do we know how to do calls? Yep. Am I okay with it? In the right context? Yes. But these were almost all outbound calls doing follow-up for things that they had reached out for, or we had sent out, or they had connected to marketing, or they connected to our joint system. And a bunch of it wasn't cold call as much as more of a follow-up call, or even potentially a very, very, very lukewarm call. So that's what the majority of that was. When we shifted from doing straight cold calls, nobody's ever heard of them. And you're like, hey, have you heard of us? And they're like, no, and I don't want to. Click. Right? They're like, okay, there's one more person who's going to be pissed the next time they see that.
Off.
They're not going to be happy.
Even harder the next time.
That's that company that drives me nuts. God forbid you follow up, right?
Right.
Our people were 10 touches per person on average before we actually brought them into the system. 10. Right? But most of those touches were us adding value afterwards. It's like, are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there yet? Are you there? Like your dad will reach back and punch you in the face if you do that enough times on a family trip. I know. That's how my dad did it with us.
Exactly.
I grew up old school. You annoyed dad.
Me too.
He just reaches back and gets whatever he gets his hand on.
Right. It's just a
it's just
so funny. Everybody
gets bitch slapped, right? So he's not even sorting it. It doesn't have to be the person that did it. If you can duck out of the way, Mike got it. Right? The best spot was directly behind him, because if you leaned over this way, he couldn't get you because his arm mobility wasn't
right. Yeah.
He couldn't get you.
Yep, that is exactly.
God forbid you were that way, because like that's an easy reach. Get a hold of one of your kneecaps and rip it off, right? Okay,
right.
so
yeah.
Yes, back to my childhood trouble.
Exactly.
Well,
don't snap a belt by me. It's fine. That can be another whole conversation.
Right. So this is a system that you can do, right? So I've been on a lot of these calls, and nothing like, listen, if you're willing to do that and you want to do that, knock yourself out. But I think the problem is, unfortunately, that so many people have been so aggressive with it and so inappropriate with it. So there is touching other realtors, and then there's inappropriately touching other realtors. And what happens is if you inappropriately do it enough times, and they just run from all of them. Okay. So we've got a lot of that going on too. So what your job is to add value as consistently as possible. That helps them sell more houses. And then eventually they're like, what the heck, man? She's helped me with 2 things that help me sell more houses than anybody else. My company's doing weird crap. I'm going to go work with her. Okay. So can you attract? Does it take a little bit longer time to attract? Yes. But are you also getting the right people in your bucket that are going to stick? Yeah. Because I'd rather attract 3 people that stick than 10 that don't, because I've got 10 people. Now I don't spend the attention on the 3 people that should be there and are going to be there. I half-ass all the relationships because now I got 10 of them. 7 of them end up bailing out, and I got the 3 that are left. Why not waste all my time on them instead? Like you get a better relationship, you got more stick. So we talk about stop building a colander, start building a bucket. Can you fill up a colander? Yeah, if you dump enough crap in it fast enough, it'll fill up. Then you got to constantly dump more in it to keep it going. Otherwise, it just leaks out the bottom. Okay. So build a bucket. So we're talking about building a bucket. And this method builds a bucket. And really, first things first is you should be focused on this. You should be focused on $10,000 checks, not $350 checks. Okay. Now, some people's like, gosh, but you're in a growth department. You shouldn't be saying that because you're like, I'm saying right now, the best plan for you, and anybody that tells you other than that is not looking out for you, is you got to make sure you pay your bills first, right? And in the process of doing that, can you get some of these? Sure. And let's just say over the next 4 or 5 years for you, you're going to have, you're going to have a couple of 350s, and you get, hey, I got 2 people that are doing 350s a month, and then you get another 350. And what happens is like in 50 or 60 months later, now you've got 20 of those at 350, right? Now you got $7,000 a month coming in from that. And you're like, okay, well, you know what? I can sell one less house and still survive. Or I can just stop selling houses altogether and make $7,000 passive and just invest more in working with people. And if I get enough of those, now I can really explode this. You don't want to sacrifice yourself and starve to death in the process. You got to live long enough to enjoy that. So for you to focus on this first, and by the way, these people here are going to be way more impressed by you if you're doing a couple more of these. I can't tell you how many people are like, well, Russ, you're like, I can't get any of these real estate agents to talk to me. I'm like, that's because you suck. Like, how many sales did you do? Well, I did 7. Like, whoop-de freaking, like, you want me to come over there and do that? Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to track somebody without the credibility, right? Now, if you say, hey, I'm closing 20, 25 sales a year, and I'm doing this, and I have 2 of them together, put together something that's pretty amazing. I don't know. How many people out there are making $300,000 a year? Not a lot. It's a very, 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 very small percentage, by the way.
Right.
About
Yep. Yep.
3% or so of the people in EXP hit icon, which is typically only 30 to 35 sales, depending on the market. 3%. Okay. Means 97% of them aren't making 300 grand a year. So if you're making 20, 25 sales a year, plus tagging a couple of these, you're making more money than most of them. So like, how would you like to have an association with somebody who's doing this on the ground? You just do what I'm doing, right? If you don't know where your next sale's coming from, let me show you a couple of things you can do to get there. And
that's super helpful. That, I mean, it's like so obvious, but it's very helpful because I feel like there's been so much focus on the growth side that I'm just all over the place.
You will starve to death working on growth without the production.
Without the production.
You work on the
well,
production
that goes hand
with the growth. And so here's the thing, right? Look at it like this. The passive income stuff is the icing. So what I'm going to do is take a pile of icing, I'm going to throw it on the counter, I'm going to put it on a little plate, and then I'm going to build a cake around it. It makes no sense at all. You just it just smears out everywhere, right? And it's like nothing. Now you got a big pile of mush underneath the cake with no icing on it, right? Upside down cake at best. So build the cake first, then you put the icing on it, and then you got something that's amazing, right? Other people go, wow, that's kind of pretty. I'd like a slice of that. That's how you attract real estate agents. Cake sucks. It's a lot harder.
Right. Well, and I don't want to use the word permission. It makes me feel like I'm
genuine.
You saying that makes like just stop trying to do all the stuff but and do the other, which actually works well because do you know who like Lauren Rocco and them are for the Girls with Grit ladies? Do you know who they are? Okay. Anyway, I'm in their challenge, so it works perfect because it's literally that's what it is about production. Yeah.
So let's be clear. Could I preach from the sky? Everybody should be making 100 phone calls a week to random real estate agents and just simply do this. Are you thinking about moving brokerages? Yes or no?
I?
I'm just saying you could, right?
Right.
Would be the easiest thing in the world to do. Yeah, because a percentage of them are going to say yes. Every week, you're going to have 500 calls. Every week, a percentage of them.
And I would hate my life because that's definitely something I would absolutely hate, but yes.
I'm going to make you the best chef in the world, and you're going to be the most amazing chef at making fish. I hate fish. Fish is disgusting. I don't want to eat it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to smell it, right? The last thing I want to do is be the best fish cook ever because then I'm going to be stuck with it for the rest of my life, right? So unfortunately, I'm really, really, really great at cold calling. I'm really great at warm calling. I'm really good at follow-up calling. I am the most amazing telemarketer you'll ever meet. And I freaking hate it.
Hate it.
Like wake up and okay, today's going to suck again.
Okay? Again.
So I worked for MCI telemarketing back in the day, MCI long distance as a telemarketer.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Grinder. I was a top in my little pod every freaking night. Okay. And I hated it. The only reason I did it is because I could work 20 hours a week and I could still do my school stuff. It made me enough money in 20 hours a week that I didn't have to do another job, which was great. Okay. So I was way better as a server. Good money, fun as hell to be a server. Yeah. You know, show up at my table, we're gonna have some fun, right? We're having a good time with it. Okay. So that was way more fun. Okay. So we got to build the recipe that works for you. I'm not saying the other people's recipes don't work, but you told me already your mindset right out of the gate. And my response back to you is, okay, so my job as a coach, as a teacher, as a trainer, as a grower of humans is to teach you how to build an amazing life for you. Based on what you told me, this recipe works great for you. Are there some people, I don't mind doing some, knock yourself out, but don't try to get everybody else to do this, right? I just did this morning live with 4 guys. I was supposed to be in Denver today, speaking in Denver. They canceled last minute. So instead of flying to Denver yesterday, I got to hang out, which was awesome. And then I had some local guy bumped into on an airplane coming out of the build event. And I was busted his chops and he didn't realize who I was. So much more fun, right? I was like, let me come over to your office. I'll talk to your team and talk to them about how to sell more houses. And he's like, we're already doing some of this stuff. I said, we'll just talk about next level, right? So went through and got their brains going the right line. They're all like 28, 29, 30, 31. I wish I had me at 30.
Yeah.
Oh my
God. I know, exactly. Like
crap. Would have saved me 15 years of banging my head against the wall. So I got these guys going the right direction. And I was like, here's how you build the recipe that works for you. Like, yeah, well, people are telling us to do this. I'm like, yeah, but that's great, but that doesn't work. No. Like, you should be an ice fisher. Like, there's no ice around here right now. Like in Naples, Florida, an ice fisherman? No, like, no, like, and I don't want to move to Alaska. I live in Florida, for God's sake. I don't want to live
Right.
in Alaska.
I moved from Minnesota. I don't need to do that.
Totally, right? So
Yeah.
we got to find the right recipe that works for you. So that's probably the best recipe that works for you and get you what you want. Anybody telling you to do anything other than this, which is sell a minimum of 12 houses a year and then build your attraction doing that.
Do it that way. Yep.
Anybody that tells you something other than that isn't actually looking out for you. Right? So we as an industry, we as attractors need to say, what do you want to do? How do you need to do it? And let's build you a recipe that works for you, not try to shove you into doing something that works for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I so appreciate you saying that. Oh my God, you have no idea.
Yeah, right. That's the real way to do it.